Well, South Australia will move to the first stage of lifting restrictions tomorrow as it looks to get its economy back on track. Emily Burley joins me now live from Adelaide. Emily, the state has released its own recovery roadmap.
That's right, Danica. The state put out its own plan right after National Cabinet on Friday. It is very much in line with what is being done at the federal level, but South Australia will move sooner to lift many of these restrictions. Now, low case numbers and low community transmission mean the state is in a position to reopen its economy before potentially some of the more eastern states. Now, as you said, the first phase of that process will happen tomorrow. In this first step, gatherings will still be restricted to 10 people, but many of the activities that have been halted by this pandemic will resume. Now, some of those include outdoor dining, sports training, real estate auctions and inspections, and travel to regional areas. Now, funeral gatherings will also increase. 20 people will be allowed at indoor services and 30 people at outdoor services. As we know, though, this is only the first of 3 phases in lifting the restrictions. If there are no major outbreaks, phase 2 is planned for 4 weeks' time on June 8. Gathering limits will then increase to 20 people, and this is when we'll see gyms, beauticians and cinemas reopen. Now, in South Australia, sporting matches will at that time be allowed again. That's good news for the AFL fans here, but those games will go ahead without any spectators. As we look forward, though, to that third stage of restrictions being lifted, that's when we'll see the pubs and clubs reopen, larger gatherings like at sporting matches. The South Australian government has not put a time frame on when that will happen, but we have heard from the Prime Minister we can expect to see that nationwide around July. But as for reopening the state border, South Australia's Premier says that won't be happening anytime soon.
That's going to be in place for the foreseeable future. We don't have people returning from overseas now without that 2-week quarantine, and our biggest source of new infections is going to come from interstate. It's going to enable us to get our economy internally up and running and more people employed if we can keep those numbers low. So for the foreseeable future, we'll be keeping that border in place.
Now, there is a good reason, of course, for officials wanting to keep the border closed. South Australia, as I've said, has low case numbers, low community transmission. We have only seen 1 new case of this virus in almost 3 weeks now, and at the moment, only 2 cases in the state are active. Neither of those people are in hospital. Health officials, of course, are keeping a very close eye on those clusters in New South Wales and Victoria, conscious that interstate travellers could cause more cases of the virus here in the future. Danica?